Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Life in General podcast. My name is Nick.
And my name is Pussy Riot.
Your name is Pussy Riot? That's going off of the last episode.
Yes. I couldn't remember one of the better ones, but that was one
That
was one I was trying to search for. That's kind of the one that got it all started.
Do you remember what they got in trouble for?
Just talking about the government.
Oh, that was in like Russia.
That was Russia, yeah.
That doesn't that doesn't surprise me.
No, they were pretty vocal against Mr. Putin and
Mr. Putin nanny.
Yeah,
and his nanny, I should say.
Yes.
Putin.
I mean, they didn't go to like prison or anything, but there was a warrant out for their arrest, and then because they were like in exile, and then they were arrested, and I think they were just,
I bet Putin does have a nanny.
I'm sure he did have a nanny.
I wonder if they call him or call her Putin nanny.
Well,
the Putin
I would
nanny.
imagine that what we describe as a nanny isn't called nanny in Russian.
I'm trying to make a fucking joke, Ian.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, that's what that was.
Oh.
So today, on a very special episode of the Life in General podcast,
it though? It's not.
We are
really.
going to try to talk about our topic.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That
would be a special episode, wouldn't it?
It's funny, like, since we've so we were doing Reality Redefined there for, I don't know, what was like 8 months, 6 months,
something like that. Yeah.
We tended to stick to our topic quite a bit.
Part, yeah.
But it wasn't as fun. I feel like I have more fun kind of talking about bullshit.
Yeah, I like the kind of going off script.
And that was the whole kind of thing about the Life in General podcast, is it was a lot more like free form.
Right.
Obviously we always have a topic. Well, I shouldn't say we always. We normally have a topic.
Right. I like just kind of, like you said, kind of the free flow of,
Yeah.
And conversations that can go in any direction.
Yeah. And the other thing is like with my school schedule and work schedule over the last 4 months, it's been really bad. Mm-hmm. So I really haven't had time to like take note, because when we were doing Reality Redefined, we were talking about conspiracy theories. I actually had to like look stuff up.
Right.
I couldn't like
even I had to do notes sometimes then.
Yeah, I couldn't just like show up to talk about a conspiracy that I didn't really know much about. So I had to like do stuff, and I didn't really have time to do stuff because of school. So
having kind of a free form,
it works a whole lot.
Yeah,
it worked
absolutely.
a whole lot better. But
and it is just more fun, in my opinion.
Yeah, but we do have a topic we're talking about today.
Yeah, we do.
Do you want to go into the topic, or should we talk about something else first?
Well, is there something to talk about?
I don't know. I don't have anything else.
I don't either.
I don't have anything going on.
Me neither.
It's actually kind of strange. Like, being done with nursing school is fucking weird, because I've spent like the last 3 years pretty much every day having to like do some kind of assignment or research on something or schoolwork or get ready to, for a check off or something like that.
A check off. I'm sorry.
But now it's kind of weird, because now I'm like, okay, what do I do with all this time now? I mean, maybe I'll just do more YouTube videos.
And then there's me, who's like, all the time I have to spend being a hermit, and
you choose to do that.
You choose everything you described. You chose to do too. No one forced you to do it.
I'm someone who just likes to. I don't know. For the longest time, for a long time when I was younger, I could just like sit and do nothing for an entire day. I can't do that anymore though. Like I always have to be doing something. I always have to be doing something.
I don't. In fact, I prefer not to.
It's boring just to sit there and do nothing.
That's for you. It's boring. It's not for.
I'm talking about me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, damn you, Ian, you shouldn't be doing that. I'm saying, no, that's what I do. I don't like nothing.
Yeah. I'm doing something, whether it's reading or watching a movie or listening to music, but I don't need to be constantly busy to be happy.
Yeah, I'm normally constantly doing something. And if I'm not, if there's a point like during the day where I'm like, I ain't got nothing to do, and I don't really feel like, listening to music or whatever. Because even sometimes I'll just do that. I'll put a record on, and I will literally sit on the end of my desk and listen to music.
Oh yeah, that's to me. That's what I'm talking.
But
when I say I'm not doing anything, to me that's what I'm talking about.
But even if I don't really feel like doing that, I'll go somewhere. I'll go do something. Somewhere.
I used to.
I'll go. But what ends up happening is I typically go to the fucking record store.
Right. Like, no, I used to be that way. Like if I'd have more than 1 or 2 days off in a row, I wouldn't want to just sit around the house at least all those days. There's one day I'd want to just go out and go places, but the pandemic has basically killed that for me.
Yeah, well, see, but that's the great thing. That's the nice thing about where we live is there is a place that you can go to. It's probably not the best to go to right now because it's cold outside. But like Ann Arbor's a great place to go do stuff because people tend to fucking still have mask requirements.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And whether they do or not, I'm always wearing a mask when I'm out in public.
Yeah,
the
really
problem is I just don't want to go out. I don't even want to leave my fucking house. So, when I say I'm not doing anything, I'm doing what you're talking about. I'm like listening to music, reading books, dicking around on the internet, watching movies or TV shows, catching up on that stuff. To me, that's doing nothing.
Yeah.
When you say doing something, homework or, grocery shopping or housework, and that's the stuff I don't want to do. I don't do
it. My wife's not going to be listening to this, so I can say this. I don't really do that stuff. Housework.
Well, you're not telling me anything.
Grocery shopping.
Yeah, you're not telling me anything I don't already know. But.
My wife does most of that.
Yeah.
But she I guess I probably should do more of the housework now because I have more time now.
Right.
Because before, for the last couple of years, I just didn't have time. It's something it wasn't a priority, because school and everything was a priority,
Right.
So I guess I probably should do more than that, but now that I've got more time.
Yeah. But that's little stuff too. That's not stuff that takes up a whole day.
Oh, it can.
It can, but, in terms of what would make, probably make things better is, vacuum. Do a round of vacuuming.
Yeah.
Dust. Maybe do just 1 or 2 loads of laundry that your wife doesn't have to do. Those are things that would be really helpful to her, give you something to do, but it wouldn't take up a whole fucking day.
Well, what I'm saying is it take up a whole day is because I'm very much like my mother when it comes to cleaning. So when I clean, I really fucking clean.
Yeah.
So it is like an all day kind of process.
But it doesn't have to be.
You're right, it doesn't, but it does.
Maybe don't
me.
Clean the whole house. Yeah. Pick a spot.
Actually, speaking of cleaning, I need to clean my fucking basement. Is what I need to do. It's fucking dirty down here. It's dusty.
Yeah,
I do need to do that.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Yeah, so I always find something to do. Like especially when I have like a long stretch off. There's definitely at least one day I'll be gone all day doing something. Like there's
like I said, I used to do that, but I can't do it anymore.
The next thing is I don't have any days coming up, I don't think. So I work a bunch of the next couple of weeks. But after the first of the year when the kids go back to school, it's gonna be nice because there'll be days I'll have off where no one's gonna be home, which doesn't happen in my house very often. So I look forward to but I'll still probably end up spending a whole day out going doing something.
Nope, I'm very content to just
loaf.
sit in my house, put on a record, like I said, read a book.
Yeah, I read enough.
No, you read for education. I'm reading for fun.
I know
it's not the same. There's a complete difference to it.
You let me finish what the fuck I was gonna say. First off,
no,
I was gonna say I read enough of the school stuff that makes me not want to fucking read for fun.
Yeah, but it's completely different.
I know.
It's a very different thing.
Oh, I know that. I do know that.
It's like going online and having to do modules at work, or going online and just doing nothing. And
the M learnings and stuff don't bother me.
No, but there's a difference, is what I'm saying. This is completely different than just going online and watching videos.
Neither one of those bother me. I'm just saying that reading text.
You just don't like to read.
Oh no, I mean I do on occasion, but reading textbooks for fucking years on end have spoiled it.
Yeah. I don't read textbooks.
I
Nick.
know that, but I do.
And if I did read textbooks, I would not like reading those. Actually, I take that back. There's some textbooks I've actually read textbooks for fun, but there were topics that I just were fascinating. I didn't have to be tested on it, which is probably a good thing because. One of them was like completely way above my intellectual pay grade. So
But I don't know. I mean, so now that we're like 10 minutes into the show and we said we weren't going to get sidetracked to not talk about our topic, let's talk about our fucking topic.
Okay.
So today
We're talking about
the DC Extended Universe.
Yes.
Because I'm not as familiar, obviously.
Well, the topic is why is it so hit or miss?
Yes. But I was going to say is I am not as familiar with the DC universe as I am with Marvel. I consider myself pretty well versed in Marvel, just because I was always a Marvel comic person, and I would never got into really the DC stuff. And I don't know, like DC seems to be a lot more of it's always had more of a darker edge, I think. Than Marvel.
No, it didn't.
That's perception wise.
Okay, because ultimately, if you look at just the comic book side of things, DC struggled in the 90s because Marvel was pushing boundaries. They were going a little edgier. They were making things more realistic, a little darker.
Yeah.
And DC was still kind of in that silver age, or the age after the silver age, where it was like the 70s, where it was a bit better, but still kind of goofy and still kind of, it hadn't matured the way that Marvel had matured. Now, when the TV, when the movies come into play, for the Dark Knight, or I should say, Batman Begins, the Dark Knight trilogy, is what really solidified DC as being dark. That's what started it.
Which, you know what? I never saw the Dark Knight trilogy. Never watched any of them. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I take that back. I saw the first one.
Batman Begins?
Batman Begins.
Okay.
I didn't see the other ones.
They're good. I'm not sold on Christian Bale. But,
yeah, I was never like a big Batman fan in the first place.
See, I was. And we were the same age, so I don't know how it was.
We are not the same age. You are fucking older than me.
Spoken like someone who's old.
I was just joking.
Yeah. Well, I am older than you, but we're the same age in terms of.
Yes, I know. I'm just making a joke here, but continue.
Summer of '89 was Batman mania.
Yeah.
For us, for our age group.
And I saw all those movies in the theater.
Only two of them are good.
Yeah. And they are good, but I mean it's
just two of them.
I'm talking about the first two.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The Michael Keaton Batman movies.
Yes.
But it's still not something I'm going to go back and watch a whole lot. I mean, and
I don't know about you, because I was always a DC guy. I had comic books. I was into comic books even when I was like 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah.
So I still had the Christopher Reeve Superman movies too.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of was into and grew up on.
And I watched those Christopher Reeve Superman movies a lot growing up.
And to be fair, only 2 of those are good.
Yeah.
As well. But if it weren't for those, if it weren't for the Christopher Reeve Superman and the Michael Keaton Batmans,
yeah,
I'm not sure we ever would have gotten any good comic book movies.
I don't know.
Because it wasn't. Think about this. We had Batman and Batman Returns, 1989, 1992. We didn't have another good comic book movie until 2000.
Which was?
X-Men. The first X-Men.
Oh, okay. I never really liked the X-Men movies, though.
The first 2 are good. Of that original run. The first 2 are good. Third one is garbage.
Logan's really fucking good.
And the X-Men movies that came after it, First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse. I haven't seen Dark Phoenix yet.
Yeah.
But that run of X-Men movies are fantastic too. Yeah. At least the first 3. I don't know about Dark Phoenix. I heard it was terrible, but I haven't watched it yet. But that was once you hit 2000, that was when kind of the first big boom of superhero movies started.
And most of them were big busts.
Right. Well, no, yeah, but leading up to that point. But that's what I'm saying. You had the Superman movies and you had those first 2 Batman movies. Everything out in between those, in between the Superman and the Batman, and then the Batman and X-Men was garbage.
Oh, man, don't talk about the Punisher movie like that. I'm just joking.
Which one? The Dolph Lundgren one? The Thomas Jane one?
Let's talk about the Dolph Lundgren one.
Okay.
Which was garbage.
Yeah, it was for the time. It was kind of it was unique for what it was at the time, but it was too soon.
What was the one that Wesley Snipes was in? Blade. Those were all really
those were decent.
Those are decent movies.
That was the end of the 90s. It was still and it was a different type of comic book movie.
It definitely was.
It was, good and well made, but it wasn't part of the mainstream comic book, and that's kind of where I'm going with this. But yeah, so you get X-Men in 2000. Then 2 years later, you get Spider-Man.
And I think that's when it really started.
But Spider-Man wouldn't have happened if it weren't for X-Men. And I don't think X-Men would have happened if it weren't for the original Superman and Batman
Maybe,
movies.
I don't know.
Because there wouldn't have been a basis for it. There would have been no idea of it being a thing. And if you look at the other things that happened around those other movies within the superhero world, you had the first 2 Captain America movies, which were basically made for TV.
Yeah.
You had the Wonder Woman TV show in the 70s, late 70s, and the Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby. That was it, really.
Yeah. Which the Incredible Hulk was a really popular show while it was on.
Right.
But I don't know if we would have even had those Batman movies in the late 80s and early 90s if it wasn't for the boom in comic books around that time too.
I don't know though, because I don't think the boom really. I think they were kind of hand in hand. Same with, really, to be honest with you, Marvel's comic book sales were dipping huge before 2008.
Yeah,
and it wasn't until after Iron Man came out and the hint
resurgence
of this Marvel Cinematic Universe was coming out. That's what really boosted comic book sales across the board. But you could pinpoint kind of like peaks in comic book sales around the popularity of those other films.
Yeah, I think that's the big difference between Marvel and DC, though, as far as like their universes go. Is I think Marvel has done a much better job at seeing the big picture and doing the long-term planning that I think DC has really fallen on their face about.
Well, DC never really thought in those terms. To be honest with you, I don't think anybody did.
And DC has come out and said that they have no plans of doing a Marvel-style cinematic universe.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Because what their problem was is they didn't have the foresight to see that being a thing. And in their defense, who did? Nobody ever suspected you could have a movie series with, put out 21 movies in 10 years. Whoever thought of that in a series? But they never had the foresight for it. But once they saw there was money in it, they wanted to skip several steps.
Yeah.
And that killed it.
Yeah.
If they had done it right and said, okay, Marvel's proven we can do this, let's do what they did. But let's plan it out. All they really needed to do was plan maybe 5-6 movies ahead.
Yep.
Instead, they just went to that 6th movie.
Yeah.
And said, okay, this is where we want to be.
And it didn't work. And actually, they went to not only did they go to that 6th movie, they went to that 6th movie, made a good movie, and then fucking neutered it.
Right.
And released it.
Yeah. Yeah, they took it away from the director who had a decent vision.
Yeah. Because the Zack Snyder version of
Justice League
is a really fucking good movie.
It's very good. Yeah.
It's very fucking long, but it's a really good movie.
So, as long as it is, though, it's surprisingly easy to watch.
Yeah.
I was kind of shocked. I was expecting to have to watch it.
It didn't feel as long.
No. I felt that I was going to have to watch it in stages, and I kind of got through it. I think the last part is the only thing I didn't watch.
Yeah.
I watched the first 3 and then...
But the reason that he had to make that movie that way is because they fucking went to the 6th movie instead of doing a fucing process.
Right.
It had to be a 4-hour movie or whatever it ended up being because they had to put in all the different aspects that they didn't fucking do, doing it a Marvel way and just kind of release the movies, introduce your characters, and then do an ensemble movie.
It's kind of like if Marvel would have done the Phase 1 and then Endgame. It would never have worked. You couldn't have done it.
Yeah. Or they would have done, if they would, I guess maybe a better way to look at it is if they would have done Iron Man and then the Captain America movie and then did then did an Avengers movie with everyone else in it too.
Yeah, it would have been, you're right. It'd be like Iron Man, Civil War, Endgame.
Yes.
Infinity War, Endgame. Because that's what it would have been. That's essentially what they did. They did Superman, Batman v Superman, and then Justice League.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so you're right. And that's the problem. That was the biggest mistake that Warner Brothers ever made. But here's the other problem. Yes, the MCU is essentially Disney property. It wasn't when it started.
No.
The first couple Iron Man movies were Paramount. Yeah. So was, I think, almost all of Phase 1 was Paramount. Or it was Marvel / Paramount.
Yeah.
And then when Disney bought Marvel, they kind of said, well, we're going to take over everything.
Yeah.
But that, I think an initial run, because that was always the rights problem with the Incredible Hulk, because Universal had Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. No,
So-
I think you're right.
Where are they going with that?
You said DC's problem was.
Well, there are many problems. Oh, yeah, DC's problem. So when especially when Disney took over, because that's when the MCU was really, we've got something started here.
Yeah.
Let's go forward with it. The problem with DC is it's always been owned by Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has always had first grab of any character they want from DC. And because of that, and being an old company, they feel they have to have their hands in everything.
Yeah.
Studio involvement is a huge problem mostly. 95% of the time.
Yeah.
If the studio gets involved, the movie's going to suck.
Yeah.
Because you got people who are not filmmakers.
Or maybe not suck, but it will struggle.
It will struggle, right. Whereas with Disney, once they said, okay, we're going to go forward, you guys have already done this, you guys do
Yes.
it. Hands off.
Yep.
You guys do it.
And that was absolutely the right decision.
And Warner Brothers will never do that. Ever.
I think the big thing that kind of the issues, I think, then the inconsistencies with the DC extended universe, and I really don't even want to call it that because it really isn't an extended
Not
universe.
anymore.
They
wanted it to be, but it's
they've
dying.
actually come out and said that they are not going to try to keep all these timelines together because they want people to make the best movies possible. Is basically what
Which
they
is
said.
fine.
Which is fine, but I whatever. But I think the big issue I have with it is the movies that I wanted to see, they never fucking made.
Right.
Like, Man of Steel is a good fucking movie.
They never made Man of Steel 2.
No, I wanted to see a Batman movie with
Ben Affleck.
with Ben Affleck in it.
Yep.
I wanted to see a Cyborg movie.
Well, it's still on the determined list. Or
Yeah. Wonder Woman is a great fucking movie. I would put the first Wonder Woman movie up against almost any of the Marvel movies. It is a fantastic fucking movie.
It is really good. I'd say on the same level.
Wonder Woman 84 was not good.
No, it was definitely a huge step down.
A huge step down.
But that's kind of that's the old model.
Yeah.
It's going forward, and I mean, don't get me wrong, Patty Jenkins was still involved. She did a great job with the first one. But if you don't have a plan on where you're going, or if you set things up in a certain way, see, I think Justice League and Batman v Superman spoiled the well for Wonder Woman. Because they established that, well, in Batman v Superman, it's kind of established that no one knows who she is.
Yeah.
So she shows up in World War I, and then she shows up in Batman v Superman at the end of to fight Doomsday.
Yeah.
So you've established that there's no Wonder Woman in between there. So now you've painted yourself into a corner in terms of story. So how do you have Wonder Woman saving the world, but no one knowing that it's fucking Wonder Woman?
And that's the one thing that Marvel has done right is they've had their team running it from the start, and their team has had a vision not only for 3 or 4 movies down the line, but
almost
10 or 12 movies
right,
down the line.
As I say, 2 phases ahead.
Yes.
They're already working on phase 5, and they've just barely started phase 4.
Absolutely, because they have to.
Right.
Because they keep their all these different movies with all these different movie producers and directors. Everyone is moving in the same direction.
Right.
And the people that are running the MCU, they're saying, look, you can do whatever you want, but we're going to make sure you're moving in the same direction as all these other movies are.
Yeah, your story, you can do whatever story you want, but you have to have A, B, and C involved here.
Yes.
You have to work these in because they're going to make sense later down the road. And someone else.
And sometimes it might not even be later on. It might be we're gonna have these elements, a couple of elements in this movie, but people aren't going to understand what is even going on with these elements for 5 or 6 movies later.
Right. In some cases, you're right. Yeah. So that's where, Marvel is perfect about.
There's a couple of things that happened in Iron Man in fucking 2008 that we watch Shang-Chi and you're like, oh,
right.
Oh, okay.
Now that kind of makes sense.
And that was 15 fucking years ago.
Almost 15 years ago, yeah.
So that's a long play.
Right.
And that's where DC, and I think where DC, they were late to the game. They're trying to make up time. And I think they can't focus on what Marvel is doing. They can't try to replicate what Marvel is doing. They should have, from the very beginning, just made a plan and focused on their plan. And I think that's where they've had so many of these inconsistencies through their movies.
Well, and DC has experience with that because they did it with the TV shows.
Yeah.
It did fall off the rails a little bit near the end here, and that's where we're at now. But in 2013 or 12, maybe 12 or 13, they just came out with a show called Arrow, and it was the origin story of Green Arrow. And that turned into an entire universe of its own.
Yeah.
Because they had one guy kind of overseeing everything. He spun off one show. He did Arrow for a few years, spun off one show. Okay, well, let's do a Flash show. Let's connect it. Let's spin it right off. You know, had a little backdoor pilot in there. You introduce Barry Allen. Boom. Now you got a Flash show. Do that for a little while. Then you have Legends, DC's Legends. Mm-hmm. Which is it's a completely different type of thing, but it's spun off. They did it from within their own work.
Yeah.
Instead of just throwing shit out there, they did it within their own work. And that even led to Supergirl. Supergirl was a different story because she wasn't actually part of the Arrowverse. She was on a different network initially. But they did have a crossover episode, and then that network canceled her. Then CW brought her back in, so then she was part of the universe again. But still... Yeah. But it's still there was a plan, and then every year after that they would do like a big crossover event that was planned and worked in, and just like with Marvel, everything had connection. It wasn't like they weren't planned 10 years ahead, but everything was connected and it was written in a way that made sense. But again, you're talking TV budgets and different showrunners, that kind of stuff, and you're dealing with network ratings on top of that.
Yeah.
Plus, what killed Supergirl was the fact that it was, you know me, I'm an inclusive kind of guy. I like representation, but I don't like representation just for the sake of representation. Yes. Supergirl became a show about representation for representation's sake. So every character's gay, every one of them, gay or lesbian, and then you got a transgender character, which is fine. It doesn't matter, but that's what the show became about.
But the funny thing is, like, and that's the stuff that I hate, because yes, we need to have inclusion, and all this other stuff, but it cannot feel forced.
Right. And Supergirl was 100% forced.
Yeah.
Star Trek is becoming that too.
Yeah.
In the same way. You've got two transgender characters on there, and in the 31st century, which is when Discovery is taking place, you shouldn't have to explain to people about your transgenderism.
Hey, hopefully we don't have to at that time.
No, but they do.
Yeah.
And it becomes, and I mean, that's a whole other story, but the problem with Star Trek now is the dialogue is written as though it was written for a Hallmark movie. Every episode.
Oh, really?
Every episode is fucking Grey's Anatomy. Dialogue-wise. Great sci-fi stories, but Grey's Anatomy fucking dialogue.
Yeah, you can almost like...
Because everyone has to talk about their fucking feelings.
Yeah.
And how they're affected by everything. And everyone's trauma. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm okay with that, but it doesn't belong there. Anyway, back to DC.
Yes.
I would say going forward, DC's got a better handle on their shit. Possibly.
Yeah? You think so?
I do. Because I think Wonder Woman 3 will probably be a nice reversal, because I think they're going forward with it rather than behind.
Yeah. So
you can tell a better story now that everyone knows that Wonder Woman exists. The new Flash movie, I'm super excited about, because they are bringing back the Michael Keaton Batman.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to see how that goes. And with Flash, it's kind of like the multiverse. They can play with anything they want.
So here's the kind of thing that I think might hurt DC moving forward, is the way that they're going to go about their multiverse. With Marvel spent almost 20 years setting up the transition to this multiverse idea, where DC is jumping to it, and I think,
but they're not.
But hold on. But they did, because right away when they did Justice League, it's like, oh well, who's this Flash? Why is this Flash different than this Flash over here? And they're like, oh well, it's
that was from a future also. That different Flash was from the future.
Yes, but still, they're using it. It's right off the bat. They were like, well, we're not going to keep the same characters across different lines. Mm-hmm. So to me, it looks more of like more along the lines of, because Marvel, the thing that Marvel did a really good job at was locking their fucking characters up, locking their actors up,
Right.
and DC is not going to do that.
No.
You're going to see over the course of 10 movies, you're going to see a lot of different people playing the same characters,
Well,
and I think you're going to lose the feeling of continuity across your movies.
Possibly. The rumor has it that Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to be in the Flash movie, but that's rumor. But it's not rumor that Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck are playing Batman in that film.
Yeah.
So you're going to have two different Batmans. You're going to, from what I've saw in one screenshot, you're going to have at least two different Flashes. I don't have a problem with that.
From what I read about the,
because they're different. They're different. They call them Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3, whatever. It's just the way they it's easier for them. But they have been playing with this idea since 2018 or 19.
Yeah.
Because they incorporated that into the TV shows, into one of those the big 6 episodes crossover, Crisis on Infinite Earths. They incorporated all of it.
No. I understand.
So they have been playing with this idea for a long time.
I understand that, like, functionally speaking, from the movies and TV shows, it can work moving forward. I'm talking about viewership wise,
Right.
like not having the same people playing the same characters.
Right, I can see that.
Could turn a lot of people off.
I think I see what you're saying. You can't have like Robert Pattinson playing Batman in the Batman movies and then having an HBO Max series with a different Batman.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
But we do have, and this has been consistent, we have Grant Gustin's Flash on TV,
Yeah.
and you have Ezra Miller's Flash in the movies.
Yeah.
And in that
And
crossover, they met each other.
Yeah.
Ezra Miller had a cameo in there, and they met.
And
It's worked. It's been okay.
And Ezra Miller's playing Flash in the Flash movie.
Yes.
So-
but rumor has it again, Grant Gustin might show up too, because he.
So no. I definitely understand that. But here's the thing: like, when you want to, and that's the thing that Marvel has been able to really capture, is they want to have these big box office movies.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see.
They want a $1 billion
They
movie.
want $1 billion movies.
Right.
And the thing is, you can't rely on just your fan base to
Right.
hit those numbers.
Well,
you
that's-
have to
yeah.
be able to draw in casual fans. And when you have, 4 different Batman movies with 4 different people playing Batman, you lose the continuity that you need to have over those movies.
I agree. I also think that Marvel was probably smart in thinking you don't need to have a big blockbuster every film.
Yeah.
They're okay with having those movies that only make 500, 600 million.
Yeah, only.
Right. Well, in terms of blockbusters, those are money losers,
Yeah.
or they're at least break-even movies.
Yeah. But when
So-
you have a Endgame make, $75 gajillion dollars,
Right.
it
Well,
balances
the
out.
first Avengers was the first $1 billion movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
so.
No, was it? I
It
don't
was
think
either
it was.
that first or second. Titanic may have been the first.
Yeah.
But I don't count that because that was released in theaters like 17 times.
Well, so was Avatar.
I don't count that either.
They re-released Avatar so Avatar could regain the number 1 spot as it's like fucking it's stupid.
I know it's lame. But Marvel is, they've taken losses recently. Black Widow was a loss. Even though it made money, it was a loss.
It was
Even
just-
Shang-Chi was kind of a loss.
Yeah. Which Shang-Chi made enough money.
Yeah.
I mean, it made enough money to justify the movie.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's what Warner Brothers should have been looking at. We don't need to make a $1 billion movie yet.
Yeah.
We need to make some smaller films that
To
set
set up.
up the $1 billion movie. Because Iron Man didn't make $1 billion. None of those
No.
movies made $1 billion until fucking Avengers came out. Because they had everything set up, and then Avengers was like, hey, everybody, you've seen all these movies. Now see them all in one fucking movie.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be good, too. If it sucked, it wouldn't have worked. But
But that's the thing, like with the Marvel movies, even the Marvel movies that aren't that great are still really good movies.
true. And that's something DC can't say.
No.
The Halle Berry Catwoman, for example.
Yeah.
You know.
But that was like, that was pre MCU, so it's all like a different. It's a
Yeah,
different,
that was like 2003,
was
or
it
4.
that? Was it? Yeah, I knew it was in the early 2000s.
Yeah. DC had a thing going with the Nolan trilogy
Yeah.
that it what they did, they kind of did that. They kind of let Christopher Nolan do his thing, but they should have said, "Okay, do your thing, but when you're done with this, we're going to go forward with your characters, your universe.
Move forward.
You're creating the universe."
Yeah.
And that's what they should have done, and it should have worked. That would have worked because Zack Snyder came in and did The Man of Steel right after he was done with his trilogy.
Yeah.
And a lot of the writers from The Dark Knight Rises were on Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Same producers. Zack Snyder was connected to those. Christopher Nolan was a producer on Man of Steel.
Yeah.
So they had that started. They had it going.
Yeah.
You introduce Man of Steel into the Dark Knight world. You recast Batman, which is fine. I'm okay with that. Because I never liked
I never liked Christian Bale.
Yeah. He was a great Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Terrible Batman. And that was the thing. Ben Affleck was probably a better Batman than he was a Bruce Wayne, but he did a much better job at the.
I thought he did good. He's probably he's one of my favorite Batman.
He's my second favorite. Michael Keaton's my first.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck is my second.
I thought, and the funny thing was when Ben Affleck was announced as Batman,
I know, everyone was.
I was like, you got to be out of your fucking mind. This is Val Kilmer, which I think Val Kilmer got screwed, by the way, in that Batman movie. But
he did, but that movie was. I understand. I totally understand why Michael Keaton didn't do it.
Yeah, it was doomed from the start.
Yeah. Now, if they had done Tim Burton's Batman 3, I think it would have been fantastic.
Yeah. But that Batman movie with Val Kilmer, it wasn't a Batman movie. It was more about the because that was the one with
Tommy Lee Jones and Jimmy Carrey.
Yeah, it was more about them.
It was a star. Yeah, it was their vehicle.
It was more of a Joker movie.
No, it was Two-Face and Riddler.
That's what I meant. Two-Face and Riddler. Yeah,
so
that's what I meant. But it was more about them than it was Batman. And I know you haven't seen it, but you got to watch Val Kilmer's documentary because he even talks about that. In the documentary, that the way that movie was kind of structured, it wasn't really about him.
Yeah. I think it started out to be, but once you got Tommy Lee Jones and you got Jim Carrey, especially because he was at the height of his popularity then. That was the problem. Jim Carrey was a bad choice for that.
Yeah,
they should have gone with their original idea of having Robin Williams do it.
Yeah,
because you didn't have ego, and you would have gotten probably maybe a better performance, or at the very least an equal performance.
Equal performance.
But you wouldn't have had the ego.
Yeah, and Val Kilmer even talked about in the documentary the fact that he couldn't act in that suit. Like he's basically a mummy in that fucking suit.
Right.
couldn't move in it, and he couldn't do anything. So I don't know. It just I think, like I said, it was a doomed movie to start.
Yeah. It was a doomed movie that made a lot of money.
Yeah,
I mean, it was actually a very successful film.
Yeah,
and there are elements of it that I do like, but I think Tim Burton's version of that movie would have been infinitely better, and it would have pushed boundaries. You would have had that inclusiveness, that diversity, without even trying.
Yeah,
he wanted, and he was already signed. He had Marlon Wayans signed as Robin. You had a black Robin, and you already had a Harvey Dent that was black because you had Billy D. Williams, and he was going to be Two-Face in that movie.
Yeah,
it was all set up, and Michael Keaton would have done it if Tim Burton was doing it.
Yeah, so that's not what we ended up getting, but that's my whole kind of going back to the inconsistencies.
Yeah,
that's kind of my point though. Is like those look at those Batman movies and what you could have had, but instead you had multiple different people doing different things, and then you had multiple people playing Batman. You didn't have the consistency as far as like acting goes, and when you want to draw in like new people into your product, and if movie X didn't do so well and had a reputation of bad acting in it, even if movie Y has a completely different cast, people tend to not go to that movie because of the reputation of the movie before it.
Right.
And that's kind of the opposite with the MCU is, like I said, even the bad movies are really good movies. Mm-hmm. So people will go see the next one because the other ones have been good.
Well, and you're also alternating them too. I mean, initially you got Iron Man and then Iron Man 2. Well, you did have Incredible Hulk in between, but there wasn't established quite yet that it was an MCU yet.
Yeah.
Even though Robert Downey Jr. does have that cameo moment. But then after that, you got you're not getting the same superhero every movie. You know, you're getting Iron Man 2, then you get Thor and Captain America, and then the Avengers, and then you get Iron Man 3, Thor, Captain America, Avengers. You know, there's an alternation to it that works, that I think DC's doing. They're starting to do now. Going forward, looks like everyone's getting a movie.
Yeah,
you know,
which
coming up.
That's what they should do. It's nice to see that I think they're trying to correct some of the issues that they've had before. We'll see how successful it is moving forward, though.
If it were me, looking at what the DC EU is right now, you've got Robert Pattinson signed for 3 films. Whether or not he does 3 films is up in the air, because I guess there was some issues between him and the director.
Surprise, surprise. I mean, he's had issues before. But.
Has he? I don't pay much attention to Robert Pattinson beyond.
Hey, come on, man! He was a sparkly vampire. He's actually a decent actor.
He's a good actor. But I don't really pay much attention to him. So he's signed for 3 Batman movies. I think those should be in their own universe. I do not want to see Robert Pattinson in the Flash movie.
No, I thought I read somewhere that the Batman movie is it's a completely separate entity.
That's kind of what I read too. But like I said, if he's going to be in that Flash movie, that's not the case. He's in the multiverse.
I don't think he is in the Flash movie.
It's just rumor right now. But anyway. So you have that. I think fine. You have your Batman universe. Do whatever you want with that Batman universe, and move forward with that. I think they need to either continue the Superman Man of Steel universe with Henry Cavill, because I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Or they need to start.
I think he's
over.
a good Superman.
He is a good Superman. Or they need to start over. But have it's just Superman. You don't need Batman in there. You don't need Wonder Woman in there. Do your Superman movies.
Yeah.
Have all of the movies separate. You can, if you want to connect them, you can have, Batman's doing that over there, whatever, but you don't need to connect them. But let those characters breathe on their own for a little while. That's what I would do. Actually, exactly like Shazam, kind of. Shazam, it takes place in that universe, but you only get mention of Batman and Superman. You don't. There's nothing. And then that little tidbit at the end.
Yeah,
they're there. They're in the periphery, but you don't hear about them. Shazam can stand on his own, period, and just do that. And that's what I would do. You focus on your characters. Let your characters breathe in their own world for a little while.
No, I completely agree. I don't know.
It's tough because they've already planned all these movies going forward, and you've got actors signed to do these characters. You don't necessarily have to use them, but you've got them, and I think that's their problem. They want all this now, and they're not willing to do the work to get to that point. Yeah.
It's almost like society that does the exact same thing.
Well, not necessarily, because Marvel did that.
Instant gratification society.
Right.
But from what I'm seeing, Ben Affleck is the only Batman listed for the Flash.
And Michael Keaton.
Yeah, those two. Yeah.
Right. Which is fine, because those are the 2 best Batmans anyway. Yeah. So I'm okay with that. That being said, who knows? Robert Pattinson might knock it out of the park as a young Batman. I don't know.
He might.
As long as he's not like fucking Christian Bale. I mean, that's it's the voice. It was the way he played Batman. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
He played him like almost too forcefully angry. Ben Affleck was perfect. He played a perfect Batman, and so did Michael Keaton.
Oh, I didn't see that they did cancel the Cyborg movie.
The list I looked on said it was still to be announced or to be determined or whatever.
Well, no, I was seeing that
the Ray Fisher situation, I think, screwed that all up.
Well, from what I was reading, he said he has
zero interest in doing it.
He's not opposed to reprising his role in the future DCEU films, but we'll see what they end up doing. Because I don't know, I thought that'd be a really good one. But they've also got a lot of characters that I think Marvel kind of has. The movies that they've done are characters that people are really familiar with. And some of the characters that DC is planning on doing aren't as well known.
Well, to be fair, Ant-Man wasn't a well-known character.
No, it wasn't.
Doctor Strange wasn't a well-known character.
No, but those were a little bit later movies.
Even Black Panther, unfortunately, wasn't a very well-known character.
Yeah.
But when they did introduce them, they introduced them the right way.
Well, because Black Panther they introduced
In Captain America.
Yeah, in
Right.
Captain America. But that's the other thing that I think Marvel. I'm not sure really if anyone else was really doing it as well as Marvel did it. Was the way that they connected movies, especially with like their end scene, their credits.
Because
Really,
they kind of invented. I mean, they didn't. There were
but-
movies that had them before that, but they really perfected that.
because they were tying this movie with the next movie, and they did a really great job with it. And even like some of those scenes you don't really quite understand. And then you see the next movie, you're like, oh, okay, I get that. I get that. And a couple of them were like, you didn't really understand it for a couple of movies.
And to be fair, this is why it works. It's all about planning. As long you don't have to write out 21 movies to have a plan, but as long as you know what you need to set up to get from point A to point B to point C, and you allow that to work, you're fine. You have to have a plan. Yeah. You don't put anything in by accident. And that is proven perfectly clear when you look at the Star Wars sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
None of that was planned.
No.
That's why
and
it
you
hurt.
can tell.
And you can tell. Every time you can tell. Because things that are set up in The Force Awakens are never fucking dealt with. No. Ever. And when they are dealt with, they're dealt with like that. And it's like,
well, okay, why wasn't that taken care of like that years ago, you know?
You set up Snoke to be this great bad, and then you kill him, and then he's barely mentioned. He's never mentioned again.
Yeah.
He's not. I mean, after he's dead, no one talks about him.
No.
So that's the problem with not planning.
Yeah.
And that perfect example of it. And that is what DC's been doing. Warner Brothers, I shouldn't blame DC. What Warner Brothers is doing with their DC movies is going like that, saying, we want a Batman movie. We want a Batman v Superman movie. We want a Justice League movie. And then not giving anyone any guidelines as to how to get there, or letting people establish those guidelines to get there. They're just like, you got a budget of $120 million. I want a fucking Justice League movie.
Yeah, go make $1 billion with this.
Right, exactly. And I mean, to be fair, if they would have let Zack Snyder do it, we'd be probably approaching Justice League 3.
Probably. Well,
because he had a 3-movie plan.
Yeah, I don't know if we'd be quite there yet, but
when did the first Justice League came out in 2017?
Yeah.
That was 4 years ago.
Well, they're now releasing movies that are supposed to come out 2 years ago. So,
pre-pandemic is the pre-pandemic schedule. We would have gotten Justice League
right.
2.
You're right.
By now.
Had the pandemic not happened, yeah, you might be right. But yeah, I don't know.
We'd be looking at getting Justice League 3 next year, probably.
Maybe, yeah. But who knows if we'll ever get another one?
Well, Zack Snyder says he's done.
Yeah.
They let him do his cut. And he's like, cool, I want to do that. But he doesn't want to work with Warner Brothers anymore.
Why would you?
At least on DC comic stuff, because I think he's got a contract with Warner Brothers. I don't think he has a choice. But he doesn't have to do Justice League.
Yeah.
And why would he? Like you said, when he can do smaller movies he wants to do.
There's no point.
I mean, actually, I take that back. Maybe his contract with Warner Brothers is done.
It might be up.
Because I don't think that he did that Army of the Dead movie
on
Netflix, which I'm not a zombie guy, so I'm not going to really watch it. But I heard it was good. And he did the original the original remake of Dawn of the Dead,
so which I thought was really good.
For what it was.
For what it was, yeah. But I don't know if he's got anything. I don't know of anything else he's got planned with them.
No, but he had a story idea to get from Batman v Superman all the way to Justice League 3. That's a 4-movie plan.
Yeah.
If they would just let him do it,
it would have worked a lot better.
It would have worked a lot better. Whether people liked it or not. And in the case Batman v Superman, his director's cut is fantastic. His theatrical cut put me to sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even bringing in another director. That's just the studio saying, no, we want a movie that's an hour and 45 minutes.
I don't fucking get that.
Yeah, I mean, especially in this day and age. People can sit for 3 fucking hours and watch a movie if it's good.
Look at the Lord of the Rings movies.
Right.
We watched 3.5-hour movies of people fucking walking. People will watch anything.
Yeah. anyone who wants a perfect description of the Lord of the Rings movies, look for the clip from Clerks 2. Randall explains Lord of the Rings. It's brilliant. It'll make you laugh, and it's absolutely true.
It's literally.
It's 12 hours of walking.
It's 12 hours of people walking to throw something off a cliff. That's what it is. And the thing I don't get about Lord of the Rings is Gandalf was able to get the eagles to come like get him off the top of the tower. Why couldn't he just have the eagles take
Frodo up so you drop
the fucking ring? You could all 12 hours of that you could
do it like a half hour.
45 minutes. We're fucking done. All right, it's a made for TV 45-minute movie, you know.
Yeah. If you want to stretch it out, have a little bit of dialogue, and
there you go.
You can still have your homosexual thing at the end with the hobbits.
The homosexual thing.
Oh God, that ending is so gay.
Is it really?
Absolutely. The only thing, they are basically like, it is slow motion, the lead up, then cut right before everyone's sucking each other's dick.
You just hear
Samwise is sucking off Frodo in that scene. You just don't see it.
What's that Wham song?
Put your ball sack in.
No. The one I was just singing. God, it was. Hold on, it's
Oh yeah, the smooth jazz one.
Yeah, what song is it though?
I don't know. I don't know what it's called. It was huge when we were kids.
It's a fucking huge song.
Yeah.
Why do I bring up Wham? It's like the top 5 songs is all Last Christmas. Like there's a bunch of different versions of it apparently. What? It's got to be in the top fucking songs played on here. But it's Sweet Something or Careless Whisper.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's it.
It wouldn't. You just jump into the.
Hold on.
I don't think that's it. No, that's not the song. That's not it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, yeah, it is. You're right.
That's what you hear is as he runs into the room and jumps.
You should play that with that ending muted. It'll work. I guarantee you.
That's great, man. I never thought about that. Your Careless Whisper is like.
Don't get me wrong.
Samwise jumps in there.
It's
and
fine.
Frodo does have a really weird smile on his face. So he's like, "Yeah, I'm nutting today."
Yeah. The unrated version of that movie is a fucking gay porn at the end. I'm telling you.
It's hilarious. I never thought about that. But anyway, I don't have anything else to add.
No, DC,
get your shit together.
Warner Brothers, get your shit together.
Yeah.
You've made good series before. You can do it again. Yeah. Not in the comic book world. Just start over. Just start from the beginning and plan it out. That's all you have to do.
I think it's what it goes back to is just have a plan.
And that, personally, I thought that's kind of what they were going to do with the Flashpoint movie anyway.
Yeah.
Basically, you have Flash basically destroy the multiverse. So you have one universe left and everything starts over. Yeah. It's a perfect way to do it.
That's not going to happen like that.
No, it's not, because they have all these other movies that are already started and planned and...
But any questions or comments, you can email us at lifeingeneralpod@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook. And you can find the podcast pretty much everywhere else.
Watch Return of the King, the final scene with Frodo and Samwise.
Play a little Careless Whisper.
Play Careless Whisper over it, and I guarantee you, if you are a gay man in a gay relationship, it's a perfect, subtle, little soft porn thing for you to maybe get you in the mood to have relations with your partner.
All right, well, that's all I got. Until next time.
We're not going to have... I don't want this I don't want us to go out on this. We're not jumping on the bed.
All right, until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
It's terrible.
I'm still recording this, by the way.
That song was played an awful lot, like, what, 83, 84 when it came out?
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring. Got you two cobras, you wanna hang. Shoulder to shoulder, the niggas basic. You know I won't lie. You know that I ain't for that fuck shit. You niggas alright, but I'm way better and she love it. Know that y'all sick as fuck. Here go this tissue, bro. We taking the dub, hoping you get you some. This hit like a pick me up. She taking my drugs. Know they see the sign. That's some dollar signs. Know they sick as fuck. Know they sick as fuck. Tell them get well soon. Tell them get well soon. Know you sick as fuck. Get well soon.